Go.
The Use of Fear in Society by Isaac Peterson. Fear creates a common goal within society, creating collective actions. Maria Jeremiah, a well-known Polish psychologist, states that fear and hope can each become a collective emotion, orientation, and such organize society's views and direct its actions. Societies involved in intractable conflicts are dominated by a collective fear orientation. Fear creates a form of urgency in society that allows people to come together over a singular cause. Many political leaders have used these shared fears to their political advantage through promising solutions to the problems that are the root of the fear. Two examples of this would be President Franklin D. Roosevelt and George W. Bush. In Franklin D. Roosevelt's inaugural speech, he states, "And there must be an end to conduct in banking and in business, which too often has to give a sacred trust the likeness of callous and selfish wrongdoing. Restoration calls, however, not for changes in ethics alone. This nation asks for action, and action now." In this inaugural address, he tells the American people that during his presidency, he will make sure to prevent any events similar to the Great Depression from happening in the future. President Roosevelt was appealing to the public's fear of another Great Depression and assuring them that he will stop at nothing to prevent this. According to Dennis M. Bosco, the author of The Presidency and the Rhetoric of Foreign Crisis, and is also a contributor to 2 volumes in Texas A&M University's Presidential Rhetoric series, George W. Bush's post-September 11th rhetoric of conventional renewal urged younger Americans to uphold the national covenant of the World War II generation and revitalize the faith of the older generation through support for the war on terrorism. He gained public approval through the fear of terrorism during his presidency, through starting a war in Afghanistan. Laws use fear to maintain. Another way that fear is used in society is through laws. Laws use fear of punishment to maintain a controlled society. This is through harsh punishments, isolation, exclusion from societal practices. Tip Thomas in Moral Courage and Intelligent Disobedience states that moral courage is lonely courage. It risks being isolated and singled out for painful personal consequences. This shows that laws create fear of being isolated from society in order to maintain order within society, even if the loss is viewed as just. Fear tactics have been used by many civilizations throughout history. Karamat, Austrian Assyriologists. Assyrians used a form of mass execution known as impalement, where a large number of captives will each be impaled on separate poles and then hung as a warning to those who oppose their rule. Although this is very gruesome, it created a form of order within their society due to there being very few uprisings. Similarly, to the Assyrians, Rome used a form of execution known as crucifixion. F.P. Roseff at the Department of English and Classical Culture, the University of Free State, Bloomfield. Crucifixion involved captives being nailed to cross-shaped pieces of wood and then being forced to starve while in great amounts of pain. This terrible form of punishment also serves as a warning to rebels, creating a more stable society. Modern countries also use fear tactics, but in less gruesome ways. The United States punishes most crimes through probation, incarceration, fines, and community service. On the other hand, Singapore has much stricter rules. According to Wen Chiang Chen, an associate professor at the Faculty of Law, National University of Singapore, Singapore has extreme punishments for crimes. Crimes as murder or drug dealing result in an instant death penalty, and other crimes result in incarceration or caning. These harsh punishments work with evidence provided by the United Nations Master, a website that pulls information from government websites. The U.S. has around 5 times the amount of crime compared to Singapore. However, it is argued that fear causes anxiety and isolation, leading to a weaker society. Lyndon Green, a professor at the Department of Anthropology at Columbia University, states that fear destabilizes social relations by driving a wedge of distrust between families, between neighbors, and among friends. Fear divides communities through suspicion and apprehension, not only for strangers, but for each other. Linda states that rather than helping society, fear creates paranoia, destroying relationships. Although this may be true, John Mirowski, a professor in both the Department of Sociology and Population Research at the University of Texas in Austin, states that this can be prevented through relief and external control can be addressed to prevent paranoia. This means we can prevent paranoia through making people feel as though they are connected with each other. As shown in earlier slides, fear is very beneficial to society, since it brings people together and creates this order within society. That's it.
Okay, so Isaac, can you tell me how some of your preliminary information inform your research?
Originally, I was researching ancient civilizations on how the fear tactics actually worked and how they benefited their societies. It later sent me to look into how fear actually brings people together rather than driving a wedge of distrust between each other.
Okay. And how is your conclusion in conversation with the research that you looked at?
My conclusion states that fear is actually beneficial, and it should not be frowned upon. And so since my other research states how fear actually fear order and brings people together, and that actually benefits society